en fjölgun í svæðinu með síðasta starfsár, þegar ég tók við, eru 1. Það gengið erfiðlega, eins og við stöðum í allir heimingunni að fjölga.
Breytingartillögur gerði, hlustið. Hann búinn að lesa upp hann eitthvað. Breytingartillögur, þannig að hún koma.
Það kemur þetta baki, það flottari mynd á. Þegar svo verðunin og ég vonaði njótt þess að þetta er ekki stór uppbæð, þetta fyrst og fremst til þess að staðfest að við komum hér á staðinn og ég ætla bara að biðja þig að lesa upp hvað stendur á þessu.
Hér stendur styrkveiting. Styrktarsjóður Umdæmisþings veitir hér með velferðarsjóði Landakirkju barnahagur styrkað upphæð 200.000 krónur í tilefni af 45. umdæmisþingi Umdæmisþings Ísland-Færeyjar í Vestmannaeyjum 2015. Ég þakka þetta kærlega fyrir og þetta kemur sér vel. Þetta auðvitað eyrnamerkt börnum og barnafjölskyldum hér í Vestmannaeyjum. Þetta sérstakur sjóður sem við höfum fyrir þau. Hjartans þakkir og Guð blessi ykkur.
Part of Canada that I come from is flat and very sparsely populated. And they tell the story of the Kiwanian, the Rotarian, and the member of Lions Club who were traveling home late one night following a joint function, and their car broke down. And off in the distance they saw a single farm, and they said, maybe the farmer has got room to put us up for the night. So they went and knocked on the farmer's door, and he said yes, he could put them up for the night, but he only had 2 beds. One of them would have to sleep out in the barn. So the Kiwanian gathered his things and said, okay, I'll sleep in the barn. And he went outside into the barn, and a couple minutes later there was a knock on the farmer's back door, and there stood the Kiwanian. He said, I'm sorry, my religion forbids me from having anything to do with a cow. And you have a cow in your barn, and I can't spend the night there. So the member of the Lions Club said, well, I'll go. And he collected his things and he went out to the barn, and wouldn't you know it, a couple minutes later, there was another knock on the farmer's back door. And there stood the member of the Lions, and he said, I'm sorry, my religion forbids me from having anything to do with a pig. And you have a pig in your barn, so I can't spend the night there. And they all looked at the Rotarian who stood there and looked at his shoes. And finally, he gave in and said, oh, all right, I'll go up to the barn. And so he went out to the barn, and a couple minutes later there was another knock on the door. And by this time the farmer is very exasperated. He throws open the door, and there stands the cow and the pig. I would like to share with you 3 stories this afternoon to make some points. And the first point I want to make is the prescription for a successful Kiwanis Club. The second point I want to make is about Kiwanis impact. And the third story I want to share with you is about community. My prescription for a successful Kiwanis Club is providing its members with take-home value. And take-home value comes from a combination of fun, fellowship, and opportunities for relevant service, all in equal measure. In my travels, I have met a great many members of our great organization, and one who stands out is a man by the name of Ken Granger. Ken comes from a city northeast of Toronto, and Ken is legally blind, but he accepts his disability with dignity, grace, and good humor. When I first met him, he said, I wish I could say it was nice to see you. He then went on during his meeting to tell me he'd recently taken up skydiving. I believed him. And I said, Ken, how on earth do you know when you're about to hit the ground? Oh, he said, that's the easy part. The leash on my seeing eye dog goes slack. But your meetings need to be fun. They don't need to be a belly laugh, but they need to offer your members fund, so you have no trouble getting members to come to a meeting, participate in your fundraising events, participate in your service events, but most importantly, invite your friends to come out. There need to be fun so the next day at work, you stand around the water cooler and say, did we ever have a great Kiwanis meeting last night? And the fellow who's standing there beside you at the water cooler says, Kiwanis? What's Kiwanis? You just set the hook. The next thing, as I said, is about fellowship. And fellowship is so important and is oftentimes given short shrift by us. The word fellowship comes to us from Old Icelandic and Old English words meaning companionship, or more of a partnership. In a partnership, all have a vested interest in each other, their wellness and their successes. Fellowship is more than friendship. It is about making people feel good about themselves. It is about recognizing and celebrating our members' achievements, both within Kiwanis and without. And it is about sharing news of those successes and achievements with our community. There's a saying in North America that goes, people want two things more than sex and money: praise and recognition. They are so easy to give and cost us nothing. Fellowship also means maximizing our members' Kiwanis experience. This is more than caring, praise, and recognition. This is about mentoring and educating as well. An informed and educated member is a proud member and a committed member, and a member who will share membership opportunities. Mentoring and education are big parts of caring for each other, and they are big parts of maximizing our members' Kiwanis experience. They are essential ingredients in a successful partnership. Fellowship is about being there in good times and being there in bad times. In November 1994, my wife and I were traveling home late one night from a medical society event when a drunk driver ran a stop sign in a stolen pickup truck at 140 kilometers an hour and drove through my car. My wife was left with a serious head injury from which she died 2 days later. I was left with a broken arm, a broken leg, a broken breastbone, a broken heart. I was broken. When I got home from the hospital 2 days later, a member of my Kiwanis club was standing in my laneway waiting for me to come home with words of care, concern, and consolation. It was at that moment that I stopped being a member and became a Kiwanian. Over the next weeks and months, my family and my Kiwanis club put me back together. The care and concern that are so much a part of fellowship will make Kiwanians out of members. And the final leg of my three-legged stool for Kiwanis success is about opportunities for relevant service. And with my experience here this week, I don't need to talk to Kiwanians of the Iceland-Færeyjar district about relevant service. You epitomize it. Impact. In September 2012, Debbie and I traveled to Guinea in West Africa on an Eliminate site visit. Guinea is a terrible country. Our UNICEF host called Guinea the worst country she had ever been in. The average daily income is less than $1. 30% of the girls between the ages of 12 and 19 have already had their first babies. Only 50% of the births in Guinea are attended by someone who has the faintest idea of what they are doing. In the towns and cities, that number is 100%. But in the countryside, where the vast majority of people live, that number is 0%. So these 12 to 19-year-old girls are having their babies alone in a cow dung and mud hut on a cow dung and mud floor. For these and many other reasons, Guinea is a desperate nation. And yet, even in Guinea, our Eliminate project is working. We traveled to the town of Mali in the northeast. Mali is at the end of the road. On our first night in Mali, we spoke with 12 young mothers who knew all about maternal neonatal tetanus, its causes, its outcome, and its prevention. Their knowledge was impressive. And I had to wonder to myself, these women who live at the end of the road have a good grasp of the realities of tetanus, but what about those who live beyond the end of the road? Those who live where there are no roads. The next day I was about to find out. Interestingly, when we left that house, we asked these young mothers what they wanted, and they wanted three things. They wanted school supplies for their children, and everywhere you go in the developing world, they want school supplies for their children. They wanted a tetanus vaccine, but very interestingly and very gratifyingly, they wanted iodized salt. The next morning, in the Maui Town Square, there was a grand kickoff ceremony for the immunization campaign that was attended by hundreds, all decked out in their colorful finery. There was music and dancing, and politicians with speeches. And the final speaker of the morning was the local governor, who traveled 4.5 hours to get there. And the very last thing he said after talking to his constituents about maternal neonatal tetanus was, "Vive the Kiwanis International." Long live Kiwanis International. As he sat down, there was a lineup of young women forming to one side of the town square, waiting to get their tetanus immunization. And then we traveled to the small village of Fugu, an hour's journey from Maui. Fugu is beyond the end of the road. There are no roads that go to Fugu. It was midday, it was quiet, there was nothing happening, and Debbie and I waited in the town's reception hall right beside what they called a medical clinic. And we waited. And we waited and we waited, and I was beginning to have my doubts. And then Debbie, who was standing in the open doorway, suddenly exclaimed, "John, they're coming." Racing to the door, I saw dozens of people arriving and climbing the hill with the young women branching off to attend the health center, while the others joined us in the reception hall. As the line began to form at the medical clinic, a motorcycle roared up carrying tetanus vaccine on ice. That afternoon, over 200 young women received their third and final tetanus shots. My heart soared and my tears flowed. These young women had appeared as if out of nowhere. They had not come by car, they had not come by truck, they had not come by motorcycle. They had come on foot from miles around. And as they left, they were clutching their immunization records. My question had been answered. Over that 4-day period in remote northern Guinea, one of the worst countries in the world, in the heart of deepest, darkest Africa, 5,000 women at risk received their third and final tetanus vaccinations. Our Eliminate project is working even beyond the end of the road. That is Kiwanis impact. My final story is about community. My district is Eastern Canada and the Caribbean. And one of the sacrifices we make from Canada is we do our official visits in the Caribbean in the months of February and March. In September of 2004, Hurricane Ivan hit the island of Jamaica. It destroyed every elementary school, all 1,500 of them. In rural Jamaica, the hub of community life and social life is the school. So in rural Jamaica, their social life, their community life was destroyed. As well, Hurricane Ivan destroyed their entire banana crop. And bananas are the leading export of Jamaica. So financially, the country was in ruins as well. So you had a country that was on its knees, socially and economically. Over that Christmas holiday, the tsunami struck Southeast Asia. I don't need to tell you the economic and human devastation that natural disaster wrought. In March, Debbie and I made our official visit to the island of Jamaica, and one of the places we visited was the small town of Umdæmisþing, nestled in the Blue Mountains just south of the town of Ocho Rios. And the very first thing that happened was we met the president of the local Kiwanis Club. The Kiwanis Club in Umdæmisþing is essential for everything that happens in Umdæmisþing. If the road needs lines painted down the middle, the Kiwanians do it. If the kids need a crosswalk to attend school, the Kiwanians paint the crosswalk. If they need a bus shelter to protect them from the rain, the Kiwanians build the bus shelter. If the town needs gardens, the Kiwanians plant the gardens and look after them. In short, if it happens in Umdæmisþing, it happens because the Kiwanis Club does it. The president of the Kiwanis Club was a man by the name of David James, and he was a Rastafarian. So he had hair down to about here, all tucked up in his black and gold and green toque. And the very first thing David did was he gave me $300 US. And I said, David, what on earth is this for? And he said to me, this is my club's contribution to Sanandra. They went door to door selling t-shirts that they had designed to raise $300 US, which in those days amounted to $24,000 US, to send halfway around the world to people they didn't know, would never hear thank you. And so I said, David, why on earth did you do this? And he said to me, those poor people are part of my community. You see, he got it. He knew that his community didn't end where Mani ended. He knew his community was global. It looked like this. And that was the day I came to know what community is. So the prescription for a successful Kiwanis Club is offering your members take-home value, fun, fellowship, and opportunities for service in equal measure. And when you do that, your Kiwanis Club will have impact, global impact, and they will know